Hey everyone, my name is Phil Ambergy, and I am the Director of Family Ministry at a church here locally in Fort Wayne, Indiana called City Church Fort Wayne. And I wanted to take a few minutes and just talk to you a little bit about Christian leadership. I work in the church, and one of the things I often see are volunteers who love volunteering. They're good and faithful servants, but when it comes to leadership and wanting to take charge within a kid's classroom or take on more responsibility, sometimes that's hard for them. They struggle with taking that extra step. And I just think it's important to address the fact that as Christians, we are all called to leadership, and that's going to be in different levels of responsibility. That's going to look different for each individual, but we are called to be a leader no matter who you are. If you're a Christ follower, you are required to be a leader. I think this comes mainly from the Great Commission. So we are called to go into the world and make disciples. And I think to go and make disciples, that requires leadership. You can't just go and hope that disciples happen because you're just around them and following along. It takes intentionality, and it takes really loving your neighbor. I think that's one of the key components of making disciples in leadership, whether it's in the business world, the church, or as you're sharing your faith with those around you, is loving your neighbor. I think some of my most favorite managers, bosses, supervisors throughout the years have been those that really invested in me. Not just by caring about my personal life and making sure that I have time with my family and things like that, but really investing in me career-wise as well, allowing me to go through training, to work on personal skills and giftings. I think there's a lot of good to be said of someone above you that is willing to pour into you. And even in our text that we've read, we've talked about transformational leadership. And I think that is a great example of what one of these leaders can look like. They purposely invest and pour into someone. They love and care for you. And really, it's about you. It's about both of you maturing together for a just mutual goal. I think you can also see this in servant leadership. I know in our text it mentions servant leadership as being a newer theory. I would argue that and say that Jesus presented that theory a long time ago, thousands of years ago. And servant leadership is just another key as far as Christian leadership goes in what it looks like to lead others in the business world, to lead others well in the church, and to lead others into the kingdom of God. Jesus was obviously the best example of this as he washed the disciples' feet and told them that you are to do as I do. And I think even to this day, not that we're washing feet, but we are to sacrifice sometimes ourselves in various ways. Again, that sacrifice will look different depending on the individual, so that we can help others grow and mature, and really ultimately as a Christian to find their way into the kingdom of God, but also on in an earthly manner to help them grow as an individual, to mature, to grow in their work skills, their abilities, their giftings, and just to just become a better person. And I think it's just really important to tie all those together with going back to loving your neighbor. If we are truly to be a servant leader, a Christian leader, a transformational leader, we have to love others. And that's hard sometimes. There's people that rub us the wrong way. There's people that are frustrating, that don't listen, that are lazy. There's things that all of us have our triggers as we coach and mentor others. But we have to overlook that, because we are called to love all people. And even those that may be our enemy, or those that are opposed to us, or those that are just irritating. And I know we all have those individuals. So we have to love our neighbor, though. And loving our neighbor means looking out for what is most beneficial for them. So caring for them spiritually, maybe even meeting financial or material needs. And it's definitely about community and relations as well. If you don't have a relationship with that individual, really, you'll never be able to truly coach, mentor, lead, in a way that really matters eternally. So going back to the beginning, I think that Christian leadership is mandated for all of us. We must go into the world and make disciples. And to make disciples, we need to have relationships. We need to be a servant leader. We need to be a transformational leader. And we need to be loving those around us well. If we were to do those things, then truly we are being a Christian as Jesus calls us to be a Christian. And it's not always easy. It's not going to be simple in many cases, but it's what we're called to do. And that's going to look different again for all of us. Some may be in leadership higher up over a church, a pastor, they may be a CEO, and some of us just may be leading other families in our own neighborhood or in our own household even. So it's going to look different for all of us, but we're all required to do so if we're truly following Christ. But I just encourage all of you that watch this to be encouraged, to know that you are a leader, you are called to be a leader. Do everything that you can to grow those skills, those giftings that God has given you, and truly transform lives through your leadership. Have a great day.